I start thinking about going back, and then I figured, well, the changes are okay, but I need to get some opinion that I really can trust. And I wrote a letter to my Uncle Nikolai, and he wrote me back. My Uncle Nikolai, I got to tell you something about him. I have this letter about all the changes that have been taking place. Well, before I read you the letter, let me explain to you what my Uncle Nikolai, who is the guy who's been challenging the Soviet regime from day one that I remember him. And he's a very funny guy, but he would take chances all the time. I was 7 years old, and he took me to a Communist Party meeting, and he challenged the speaker. The speaker said, "Who can tell me the difference between capitalism and communism?" And my uncle jumped up and said, "In capitalism, man exploit man. In communism, it's the other way around." We have not seen my uncle for a long time. He's gone on one of those trips. So he wrote me this letter. I want to read you a couple of things out of this letter. It's actually real cute. I hope that you like this one. Здравствуй, дорогой племянник Яшенька. You read this letter? Okay, I'll translate for you. Hello, dear nephew Yakov. Congratulations on all the success that you have in America. Sorry I haven't written you in 8 years. But I've gone on another of those trips. You see, I went to a Communist Party meeting, and they asked me, why didn't you show up for the last one? And I told them, if I knew it was the last one, I'd brought my whole family. They didn't think it was funny. Then he asked me about my parents. Oh, here's, things are changing in the Soviet Union very rapidly. They stopped jamming broadcast signals from America because Raisa wanted to see Home Shopping Network. Your cousin Svetlana thanks you for the birth control device that you sent. No, I did not send the birth control device. It has a funny name, Slinky. Try to picture that. She said it works very well, and we have a great time watching her coming down the step. Now, you realize you're as sick as he is, you know. I don't want to know what he did with that crazy glue that I sent him. Yakov, thanks for writing. If you can come and visit us, it is safe for you. Love, Uncle Nikolai. So when I got this letter, I kind of figured, well, what the hell, I'm going to give it a try. And I'm going to go to the Soviet Union. But, you know, I asked my parents if they wanted to go, and my mom said no. I said, why not? She said, because California lottery is up to $52 million. So, and I was nervous to go back because I've told few jokes here that's worth about 20 years each over there. You know? And I was concerned because I knew the KGB was aware of me, and KGB, as you know, stands for Kiss Goodbye Your Butt. So I went there, and my wife went there, and it was great. Actually, they let me film things that I wanted to film, and I wanted to show you a couple of things that we filmed. First thing that we did, we wanted to go to a Soviet national landmark right away, the place that all the Soviets really want to go. And it's a little crowded, but as you can see, it's a McDonald's. It's a little different from American McDonald's, you know, because there's a long line. Look at those people standing. Look at that. The line wraps around the whole city block. It takes about 4.5 hours to get a hamburger. It's Russian version of fast food. And people are so excited. One guy walked out, he had a hamburger, and he took the wrapper off. He said, not only they give you food, they give you free toilet paper with it. And I was standing in line, and I was very hungry, you know, and I figured I remember that in my jacket I had some Twinkies, and I haven't worn that jacket in 2 years, but I figured for Twinkies, it doesn't matter. And I shared it with the lady who was standing next to me. I told her it's American health food. I said, we still don't know what that white stuff inside is. And then it started raining. Now, the guy next to me had a bag on his head, so I offered him chewing gum in exchange for the bag. And I guess he was practicing capitalism. He asked me for 2. So I didn't have a second pack of chewing gum. I gave him some cigarettes. And so we agreed. He gave me the bag. So now I'm a happy camper. I look like a condom head. But now, watch this, watch this. Whatever goes around, comes around. He had a hood stuck in his jacket, and it got stuck. The lesson in capitalism is supply and demand. And I thought I was standing next to Big Bad Wolf. It was a Little Red Riding Hood. Now, McDonald's, you know, is probably the biggest successful chain in the Soviet Union. They tried to bring Taco Bell, but the Russian government didn't like the slogan, "Run for the border." One fun thing about the trip was that I could go back to certain places that I gone when I was a kid, and I wasn't into sports in the Soviet Union, because there, if you're a male athlete and you don't win, you become female athlete, and it hurts. So I never done many sports. But one thing I used to like is to go swimming in the pool, and we went to the Moscow outdoor pool, which is a huge, huge pool outside. And we were filming in January. Now, temperature outside is 30 degrees. The water is much warmer. It's 32. And people, you know, like lifeguards, dress completely different there. You see, that's a lifeguard. And this one is a lifeguard, too. Yeah, they don't jump in the water to save it. It's too cold. They just scream, "Swim! Swim!" And then we went to the Red Square, you know, the place where the airplanes land. And I decided to teach Soviet policemen how to play baseball. Now, of course, he wanted to hold a bat, but I used to live there, so I said no. And there is a sissy fro. Now, Smirnoff connects. Yes, and it's going over Kremlin Wall. I'm not running to the first base. I'm just running. And another thing was fascinating to me. I don't know if any of you have gone to the Soviet Union. Applaud if you have. Anybody have gone to the Soviet Union? Yeah? Did they approach you with some things? Did they try to sell you things on the streets? Yeah, that's what they tried to sell, like army watches, army boots, army hats. It's like Soviet army is going out of business sale. But it's because free enterprise is basically starting there, and it's a new thing. And small businesses opening up everywhere. We were in a hotel, and they had a pay toilet because there's no good toilets in the Soviet Union. So this entrepreneur opened pay toilet. They sell tickets to get in. So I bought a ticket and went in. But one thing they don't tell you, that they sell toilet paper outside the stall. Now listen to this guy.
Что? Бумагу? Американский? Ага, $2.
I was not in a bargaining position. I gave him $2. I could have just used the dollars. That commie bastard. It was a lot of fun to go back. It was very interesting. Now, during my show, if you have any questions about me or about Soviet Union or about my family, whatever you'd like to ask, feel free and I'll be happy to answer. It's more fun this way. It's also exercising the freedom that you have, which is great. In Russia, because of glasnost, they also have freedom of speech. But here you have freedom after you speak, which is it's a nice little feature. So do feel free. I'll be happy to answer anything. Sir?
How do the Soviet people view the Americans?
How do Soviets view Americans? Well, we didn't really know much about America when we were in the Soviet Union because they would just not tell us anything, good things or bad things. We didn't know. For example, we didn't know about Watergate, which kind of surprised me when I came to America and I found out this would be a great propaganda against America, but they didn't tell us. Then I figured out why. How to explain to a Russian person Watergate? The government broke into a place and set up microphone. So, we call it room service. Yes. Do they have Happy Meals? And do you, yeah, if you get a meal, you're happy. Yes.
Do they have prostitutes in Russia?
Now, may I ask you a question? How old are you?
14.
14?
Yep.
Why would you want to know about prostitutes in Russia?
Sex is all teenagers think about.
So you would go that far? Any other questions? Yes, sir. Where did I learn English? I learned English in the United States. Well, I actually watched television. That's what I did. I watched TV for about 3 months. And then I realized it was a Spanish station. The only words I could recognize was cuchi cuchi, which meant yep, yep. And then, you know what I used to also do? I used to watch cartoons. And that was fun because, for a while. And then it kind of freaked me out because Scooby-Doo, dogs spoke better than I did. But then I saw Sylvester Stallone movies and I felt fine. Yes, sir. Is my name really Yakov Smirnoff? No, sir. No, it's used to be Jack Daniels. I just Americanized it a little bit, yeah. Yes. Does what? Does my wife has a good sense of humor? Yes. I love you, honey. Anything else? Yes. Pardon me? What's that thing? What's that thing on Gorbachev's head? I don't know. It could be pigeons are out of control. Actually, I was thinking about that at one point. It could be a strategically located device. I'll try to explain to you. When you talk to someone and they have a little piece of spinach stuck between their teeth, you don't really hear what they're saying. Just keep staring at that piece of spinach. Well, he's got that big thing on his head. It's very mesmerizing, you know. It's like, you're getting very sleepy. And medical care, it's free. And you get what you paid for. am I planning to take my daughter back to Russia? I actually was talking to Linda whether to take Natasha back to Russia when she grows up, and we decided we will, if she has behavior problems. Couple of days in a Russian daycare center will cure it right up. I'll tell you. Yes, ma'am.
Would you take mine?
Would I take yours? Yeah. Anybody else's kids? Go ahead. But when I went back, I was so happy to see my relatives and friends, and I was surprised. Most of the people were very interested about America. Some people, very few, were against America. And one cousin of mine, very patriotic Soviet guy, and he, Uncle Nikolai invited us for dinner, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and he says to me, "Isn't it true that all Americans care about is fun, good time, and sex?" I said, "Yep." You should have seen his face when I told him there's a whole group of people called yuppies. And then he says to me, "It's now better in Soviet Union than in America. I can protest anything I want. I can go to Kremlin Wall and urinate if I want to." I'm saying, "Now there's a great improvement right there." And I said, "Uncle Nikolai, is that true? You can actually do that?" And he said, "Well, yes, he can go to Kremlin Wall and he can urinate, but he does not unzip his zipper." So now that makes sense. It was great, you know, seeing friends and family. And you know, one of the toughest things was probably for me to say, I wanted to show you this film. I initially, when I was filming it, I didn't think I'm going to show it to anybody. But when I saw it, I figured I want to share it with you. You probably will be able to relate to it. Some people who grew up in one place and went to visit their old home. This happened to me. I went to the apartment building where I was raised, since I was born. We were there for 26 years. Now, my mom was born in that apartment as well. So all our lives, we lived in that apartment building. And when we were leaving the Soviet Union, we were only allowed to take 2 suitcases with us. So we left all those wonderful things that we couldn't sell to anybody, those dear things to us, we left in this apartment building. So I want to show you when I went back, I didn't know what to expect. It's like when they say you can't go home again. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it's going to be exciting. I didn't know if it's going to be scary. And I went back. And first of all, it looked much smaller because I remember it as a little kid. And I walked up to the door and was hoping that somebody will be there. But no one was there. And I looked in the window, and there was a child staring at me. So I didn't want to disturb him, and I went around this city, this block, and this was a courtyard. When I was a little kid, my friends and I, we used to play games here like hide and stay hidden. And I went downstairs to the basement where we stored all the things that we couldn't take with us. And it's a scary place. I was scared when I was a kid going there. I felt like Corral de Rivera. But I was going down this long passageway and my heart was pounding. I was hoping that maybe something will remind me of my childhood being there. And I was hoping maybe 1 or 2 things will be there that I can recognize. And to my surprise, when I turned around the corner, all the things that we left were still there. Now, there wasn't anything valuable, but they were so special to me. And now I'll let you listen to the sound and the video. My dad and I made a Christmas tree so it would spin, and this was the connections that the electrical lights would blink. We didn't have the sophisticated equipment that I have now, so the tree was sitting over here and spin, and the lights were connected here, and we had that for Christmas, so this was like mind-boggling to everybody. This was a little squirrel toy. It's a clay. I made it actually, and I never thought it was that valuable. Boy, I don't know. I was dreaming that I'll do this one day. I'm crazy enough to do it. This was a very interesting place to go to. I brought some things from there. I brought the little squirrel and the Christmas tree stand and a lot of other things from that room. So after the show, we're going to have a garage sale. This is fun stuff I'll tell you, what I decided to do with this squirrel, I'm going to gift drop it, and I'm going to give it to my daughter Natasha for her 16th birthday. And I bet she's going to open it and say, great, a dirty squirrel. Dad, I wanted a car. But the memories is the biggest gift that I could take from the Soviet Union. I mean, I brought it to America, and I'll tell you, I learned something also very interesting on my way to the Soviet Union. I was performing in front of troops, American troops in Germany and France, and I learned something very interesting, that you can go to another country. Let's say you go to Italy, but you cannot become Italian. You can go to France, you cannot become a Frenchman. But you can come to America and become an American. And I want to thank you so much for making me feel at home. Good night.